We're losing a lot of women unnecessarily, and I think we shouldn't. We can't lose women to a cancer that can be eliminated and to a cancer that can be prevented. My name is Karen Nakawala. I'm from Zambia, and I was born in a town called Chipata. I'm a cervical cancer survivor myself. So I was diagnosed in 2019 of June. My gynecologist is a friend because she delivered my last baby, and they have a hospital. So what used to happen that every time I met them, they would ask me, Karen, why are you not visiting us? We don't see you. And I'm like, I'm not sick, so I don't come to the hospital. Until one day I get to the clinic and we joke, we laugh. So I get on the bed and she starts to examine me, and then she looks at me, and then she checks again, she looks at me, and then she asks me if I'm in pain. I'm like, no. So she says, well, because you're bleeding badly. You've got a tumor, you've got a growth on your cervix. Okay. So she says, let's do a pap smear and come back after 7 days. So I went back home, and then she calls me after 7 days. She asked if I could go to her office. I'm like, no, just tell me over the phone. And then she says, no, you have to come in. So I went there, and she says to me, look, the results show that the recommendation is we do a biopsy. And so I asked her, I said, look, honestly, just tell me, what is it? And then she says, look, from what I see, it could be cancer. So I was driving back home, I remember, and suddenly it hit me, cancer. This means that I'm dying, you know, and I parked the car on the roadside. It was about 7 p.m. And the first thing that came to my mind was my children. You know, I'm going to die and my children are going to remain alone. And I broke down. I remember I broke down for the longest time. For 3 days, I didn't sleep straight. Like, I would wake up, literally see the sunrise, sunset for 3 days. The treatment is very harsh, and it takes a lot from you. Even the strongest person, I think at some point, you literally give in to the treatment. And so to get out of that, I think I'm very lucky to be here, because there are a lot of women that I saw that died during my journey. And just that alone, you know, when you go, we sort of formed a sisterhood. So every morning we'll ask, are you already at the hospital? Yes, I am. And then you get there and then you ask about the other ones. Oh no, she died last night. And the mood just changes. Everybody just thinks, okay, next is going to be me. I decided to start the Facebook movement in 2020. As I was talking to the women, I realized that there was a lot of stigma attached to cervical cancer for obvious reasons. In Africa, it's taboo to talk about anything that involves your sexuality. There was a lot of myths and misconceptions. When I decided to now register it as a foundation, and I started reading more about it, attending a lot of conferences, I now realize that if we are to eliminate cervical cancer, the HPV is the one sure tool that we have to do it. So the HPV in Zambia was rolled out in 2013. When I started talking to the doctors, they told me that it was met with a lot of resistance. One, because people did not believe in the vaccine, and two, because of what the vaccine was related to, cervical cancer and, you know, the sexual part of it. And so that is when we decided, you know what, yes, we're doing the screening, we're doing the awareness, we're creating demand for people to go and get screening, but I think our fight is trying to get the HPV rolled out successfully and getting the girls that are eligible to get vaccinated. We're losing a lot of women unnecessarily, and I think we shouldn't. We can't lose women to a cancer that can be eliminated and to a cancer that can be prevented. And that is where the HPV vaccine comes in, and we need to push for that to be received by the masses, so that they can get their girls vaccinated.